John, people are exhausted. Yep.
Yep.
What's wrong with the construction industry? In your opinion, in your years of research, what's wrong?
Well, the issue is that we run around doing stuff,
Yeah.
but we don't do it.
Tell me more.
Well, if you think about it, there are every day literally thousands of exchanges with and between your staff, customers and suppliers. Now, if you group a number of those exchanges together, that's called a transaction.
Fair.
You know, and I know, that not all transactions go according to plan, do they?
Yep.
So why is that? And there's lots of reasons for that, but it's because of those transactions not going according to plan. There are stuff-ups, there are things going wrong, people are fighting fires all the time. And that's what's causing that exhaustion. There's pressure for people to get stuff done on timeframes, and you certainly know more about that than I do. But those time pressures and all the fixing of the stuff-ups, that's causing that stress. And
So would it then come back to having processes not really clearly defined and documented, and people being asked to do things?
I'll say don't get me started, but
Right.
that's really the base of it, is that we haven't actually thought through what we're actually doing. Yes, we have in big picture terms, but not down to the fine detail.
Right.
Okay?
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about?
An example. Let me put it this way. One of my mentors, Kirkland Tibbles, said to me, John, it's very easy to create complexity, but it's hard to implement it.
Yep.
Simplicity is hard to create, but it's very easy to implement.
I fully agree with that.
So the issue here is that we're not taking the time at the start of any project or any job to literally think through and create that as a whole transaction all the way through. And if you think about it, there are nested transactions. So we've got a transaction within a transaction within a transaction. You know, there's literally hundreds or thousands of transactions going on. And if they are not thought through and built and designed appropriately, what's going to happen?
So just for everybody that's listening in, let's describe what a transaction actually means. I think that's a great place to start.
Well, you tell me, what do you think a transaction is?
That's an interesting question, right? Okay. For me, it's the handover point in a process, right? I've been asked to do something, and somebody's going to now take my information and do something with it. Yep. It's the handover point from the quality of delivery that they expect from me to then take my information and produce something else with it. And that branches off into another sub-process. Yep. It's that handover point is a transaction.
Yes, and there's a lot more to transactions than just that handover point.
Yep.
Someone has to invent it.
Yep.
Someone then has to invite someone to consider that transaction.
Yep.
Then we have to actually present what we've been thinking and talking about to get a meeting of the minds. And here's the kicker. Then we actually have to have a contract. Now, that can be verbal in terms of this is what you're...
Wait. What? You said a contract can be verbal?
Yes.
No.
No.
You smoking pot?
No, I'm not smoking pot. We're in a transaction now, right?
You're right. We're having a conversation.
We haven't had anything written down, have we?
Yeah.
So we've had a verbal agreement that we'll do this.
Yep.
Okay, so a transaction needs to have a contract in some form. Right. This is what I'm agreeing to do. This is what you're agreeing to do.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
Yep. It's meeting of the mind.
Meeting of the minds.
And agreeing to do something.
And agreeing that confirmation of this is the intent to act and where this is our commitment to act.
Yeah.
Then we actually get off and do it. Right? But then we had some intention of getting some results. So what were the results and consequences of that contract?
Yeah.
And then we come to some completion at some point.
Yeah.
We're looking at all the facts and judgments about those results and consequences of the action that we took.
Yeah.
And then, once we've actually got all those facts and judgments, we're assessing, did that actually go according to what we wanted it to do? And from that assessment, we can then go and reinvent, or not, and around you go. That's a transaction.
Interesting.
It's a bit more complicated than most people appreciate.
No,
But
fair
the
point.
problem is, in terms of why people are worn out, they're stressed, they're fatigued,
Yeah.
is that those transactions aren't completed. There's bits missing, or bits not done properly, or they're done poorly, and so no wonder life gets to be a bit tough at times.
Yep, and specifically in the construction industry, given its complexities that we deal with day in and day out, it's not a simple thing building a building.
No,
It's,
they're
can get-
complex, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, but if you look at the basics, though, it does still come back to concrete and steel. Yep.
Yeah.
Dig some dirt up, pour some concrete, get some steel up, get more steel up, pour more concrete.
Andy, in theory, it's simple,
Yeah,
right? That's big picture stuff.
for sure. But we're not the only people doing it. People have been building
Yeah.
since the Egyptians built pyramids
But
without the machinery and the technology that we had.
But that's the salient point. People are involved. And there's the problem. Because
Yeah.
what you say and what I hear aren't necessarily the same things.
Fair. So I got this explained to me in my last podcast. He said, picnic. It's a problem in chair, not in computer. I couldn't stop laughing, man.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, the construction industry is in a state of chaos. Yeah.
Yep.
And the complex transactions is a major part of what's contributing to the...
Yeah. And in those complex transactions, because they are not broken down into their basic component parts and then built back up again,
Yeah.
bits get missed, and people interpret things one way where it was intended a different way.
Yeah.
And that's why we get all these muck-up, stuff-ups, call them what you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people are spending all this extra time trying to fix that, which actually makes it harder,
Yeah.
leads into poor productivity, and we'll probably talk about that later.
I'm sure we will.
So literally from not creating a transaction fully in the first instance before you actually get going, that's the root cause of it.
Yeah, right.
So lack of transactional competence
Right.
is causing all that stress, that burnout,
Yeah.
and they're big issues.
Yeah, huge issues.